Hey, good mornings, everybody. Happy Wednesday. It's Daryl here. It is bright and freaking early, man. It's 3 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Okay, if you watch my channel, every so often, every time I get a haircut, more or less, I talk about my MAGA barber. And this is going to be probably the last video because I am done with this guy. I hate going to a new barber because I hate explaining, how I want my hair cut. And he's been doing a progressively, I won't call it a worse job, but he's not listening to what I'm asking him to do. And more than that, it's the conversation in this barbershop every time I walk in there. You figure I go there about once every 2 months, okay? This guy is open 40 hours every week, okay? And for 8 weeks, I'm not there. And every time I walk in there, this guy and the people in there are talking about usually racist, hateful stuff. And, I hate spilling the beans like this. This is a town I grew up in. And I go back there to get my hair cut. And even though I hate hearing the conversation there, I can't stand Trump supporters, and the whole atmosphere in there just, I can't believe it. I still go back there to get my hair cut. And yesterday, I told him explicitly how I wanted my hair cut. And I usually give him at least a 25% tip when I walk out. And I didn't really look at it. I didn't look at this side when I walked out. And I am just livid because he cut it in a conservative manner. This is what happens when you go to a conservative MAGA barber. And it's not just that, it's a conversation in this barbershop. Okay, like I said, this was the small town I grew up in. It's a small town. It used to be a hardworking, blue-collar town. The company Seth Thomas that built clocks is in this town. It was the main employer in this town. My father worked there. My grandfather was a cabinet maker for grandfather clocks there. But now it's gotten much more expensive houses, like over $250,000 to $500,000 and above houses. And it's more of a upper white class MAGA town. It's almost an exclusively Trump supporting town of about 6,000 people. And I moved next door to the city of about 60,000 people. And I swear this place is safer and it's more friendly than that town I grew up in. Okay, let me start at the very beginning. Like I said, I only go there for 15 minutes every 2 months. And every time I walk in there, these guys are spouting off about racist stuff you wouldn't believe, and I'm only in there for like a fraction. I can imagine what they're talking about, for all the other hours that I'm not there, and every single time I walk in there, they're talking about this kind of stuff. And I've just had it. Yesterday, I pull up, right? And I see a guy going in right in front of me, parking his big old MAGA truck, and he's walking. I'm like, damn, if I just got here 5 minutes, 2 minutes earlier, I would have been, I wouldn't have had to wait because this guy's getting it going there before me. And he's a guy with a beer gut, and he's about my age, and, he's got that MAGA Trump supporting look to him. And I look at the license plate on his car, and it says 1TH. This is usually the license plate. TH is usually the license plate they use for this town, Thomaston. Number one, meaning the number one car or truck. Who would that be? I won't say. So I go in, I sit down, and I'm not even sitting down for 30 seconds. I kind of sit apart. There's my barber and these two guys talking, and they're all talking about Harleys and Bike Week and this and that. And I don't know what they're talking about. I don't own a motorcycle, and I'm just listening. And they start talking about Bike Week in Myrtle Beach, and then like within 60 seconds of me walking in there, they start joking around. They start going, "Oh, you're going to go to Black Biker Week?" Because I'll have the link down below. There's a thing called Black Pearl Bike Week in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and it's called Black Bike Week. And it's the week after the traditional bike week, something like that. I just read this morning. I didn't know anything about this yesterday. So I'm listening to them, and they go like this. Now this event hasn't even happened yet. It's coming this coming weekend, but they're talking about it like it already happened. They say this. One of the guys says, "Would you believe that all these black bikers, they pull up to the gas pumps, or they pull up all together, and they make a big mess and make a lot of noise, and then they all drive off without paying? Can you believe that? Can you believe they do that? You go on a Black Biker Week?" So these three guys are standing around talking about this. And then the other guy says, "Yeah, and they leave a freaking mess all over the ground. They throw their garbage all over the ground." Let me say this. I grew up in a state park. And nothing could be further from the truth. I'm not going to say the most messy nationality, because I grew up in a state park and I see the mess that people leave. I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say. So that's what they're saying, and I just keep my head down. And I just every time I walk in there, like I said, I'm only there for 15 minutes every 2 months, and these guys every time, I can imagine what the conversation is like the rest of the time I'm not there. And they get quiet because I'm not joining in the conversation. They look at me as a Caucasian guy. I'm actually Native American and Caucasian. And I hear them, but I'm not joining in their conversation. I'm purposely ignoring them. So then they all kind of like grumpy. They leave, because I'm not joining in their hate fest. And the barber doesn't know. He doesn't know if I'm angry. I could tell. He's like, "Hey, Daryl, how you doing? Okay? Come on, sit down, have a seat." And he's asking, "How are you doing? You doing all right?" Because he could tell that I'm I wasn't enjoying the conversation there. Okay, now and that happens every time I go there. Now let's talk about my haircut. Okay, I like to get this cut the same way every time. I like it. I don't want the little square boy haircut. I like it shaved on this side with a shaved part, and then a full thick hair, and then kind of layered on the way down over here. And I explained this to him. Not only did I explain this to him, but I showed him a picture on my phone. I said, just like, because he screwed it up last time. Now, if you can see that. This guy, that guy. Can you see that? There's an older guy. So, like I said, I explained to him I want it shaved because I don't like the differential in the color here. Okay, so just shave it up this side. So it's lopsided. It's you have conservative and like a romantic, or a non-conservative or progressive. Where things are lopsided. And that's how I want it. I want it, just like I showed the pictures of, right? So I sit in the chair and we're talking about this and that, about his Harley and all this other stuff. And I get up. It's really quick, but I wasn't paying attention. I didn't feel the shaver on my head. I like it shaved close. And I told him that, except for the layer right here. And I get up and I look in the mirror and it doesn't look as good as it usually does. And I tip him 25%. I was like, "Oh, it looks great, man, thanks," because that's just the kind of guy I am. And I walk out and I get in the car and I look at it and I'm like, what the, the thing that makes me say I was so livid yesterday is because I specifically told him, and he just ignored my request. This guy is, he's doing this for, I'm hiring basically, I'm hiring him to cut this like I want. And the thing that made me so angry is he just ignored what I asked him to do. So he left it. He didn't shave it on this side. I can't believe how angry I was yesterday. So I'm gonna find myself a new barber. You know how it is. You hate going to a new guy, a new place, like a new doctor, a new dentist, or new anybody. And I've had it. I can't go back there anymore. Between the MAGA racism and the ridiculous things I hear every time I go in there, and now with him just blatantly getting me because he cut both sides evenly, like he layered it down on both sides, so it doesn't have that shaved look on this side, and that ticked me off, and I wanted the shaved part too. And worse, I'm gonna have to go back to the barber like next week and pay another God knows how much money to get this fixed, because it's not the way I want it. And I was going camping this weekend. I'm going on vacation and everything, and I wanted it, and plus it's easy to do in the morning. Like when I dry it, once it's shaved on this side, it's easy to do. It takes me so much longer when my hair's longer. I was ticked off. No more MAGA barber. All right, so originally I was going to talk about Matthew Perry, and apparently the FBI and the U.S. Postal Service is involved in this investigation now because he might have gotten some of this stuff through the mail. And I'm going to talk about this because this is something I'm not proud of. One of the stupidest things I ever did when I was about 21 years old. I was going to school and working full time, and I got stuff through the mail. Stuff that I'd probably still be doing federal time if I had gotten caught back then. One of the stupidest things I ever did. I'll talk about that in the next video. No more MAGA barber, man. F you to the MAGA barber. Good riddance. Have a good Wednesday.